quite advanced, and I sustained relatively minor injuries thanks to your intervention. Her markings flickered again, pink bleeding into silver. I wanted to thank you, properly, without medical personnel and court witnesses, and my mother declaring legal bindings. You don't need to thank me for not letting you die. That's just basic decent human behavior. Our guards are trained for exactly such scenarios. They hesitated. You didn't. There's nothing basic about that. Asharavel gestured to a bench near the fountain. Will you sit? We should talk. We're apparently getting married in 3 days, and I realized this morning I don't even know your full name. Liam Cross, from Detroit, Earth. Professional technician, amateur disaster. He sat, leaving space between them that felt simultaneously too much and not enough. I repair environmental systems and occasionally run into burning buildings without thinking it through. Asharavel Kestanima, heir to the Kyrelian sovereignty, student of applied engineering, professional political asset. She smiled, and it transformed her face from formally beautiful to something more genuine. I also occasionally get trapped under falling architecture. We make quite a pair.
Thank you.
We
I already
talked,
have.
and Liam discovered the princess was nothing like what he'd expected. She asked about Earth, about his work, about whether humans really did half the ridiculous things the cultural database claimed. He asked about Kyrelian technology, about the bioluminescent markings. Could she control them, or were they automatic? About what it was like growing up knowing your every action was politically significant. Exhausted, Asharavel admitted. Every decision is analyzed. Every friendship is potential alliance or liability. I studied engineering because it was one of the few things I could do that was just mine, not tied to court politics or diplomatic value. Her markings shifted to a soft gold, though apparently even that had political implications. The princess sullying herself with technical work, some nobles said, as if understanding how things work was beneath royal dignity. That's incredibly stupid, Liam said. Yes, but it's traditional stupidity which makes it acceptable. She looked at him curiously. You really didn't know about the fire
game?
before you ran into the flames. I barely know what day it is half the time. Ancient marriage laws were not on my list. Liam watched the water in the fountain, its impossible curves. Would you have preferred I let the guards handle it? Let them follow protocol while you waited under burning debris? No, I prefer being alive, even if it comes with complicated consequences. Asharavel was quiet for a moment. Can I ask you something? And I want an honest answer, not a diplomatic one. I don't think I'm capable of diplomatic answers, so sure. Are you angry about the marriage decree, being forced into this by ancient law and my mother's declaration? Liam considered the question, really thought about it instead of deflecting with humor. I'm scared, he said finally. This is so far outside anything I ever imagined happening that I don't even have a framework for processing it. Angry, I don't know. Ask me again when my brain catches up to reality. He looked at her directly. What about you? What do you want? The question seemed to startle her. Her markings flashed through several colors before settling on uncertain purple. I want to honor my mother's decree, to fulfill my duty to my people, and uphold the traditions that have sustained us for millennia. That's what you're supposed to want, Liam said gently. That's the answer you've been trained to give. I'm asking what you actually want, deep down, where the politics can't reach. Asharavel stared at him for a long moment, her markings cycling through colors that suggested internal conflict. When she finally spoke, her voice was soft. I want to not have died in that fire. That part's working out excellently. A small smile crossed her face. And I'm curious, about you. About humans. You did something our trained warriors wouldn't do. You ran toward danger without calculating the costs, without waiting. That's not how we think. I want to understand how you think. Fair warning. Humans mostly operate on panic and stubbornness with occasional breaks for snacks. It's not a sophisticated system. She laughed, a genuine sound that made her markings flash bright gold. See that? We don't do that. We don't joke about serious situations. We
You're
don't
gonna hit
treat
a
potentially
plus?
fatal decisions as
Yeah.
opportunities for humor. It's
That house feels
fascinating and
pretty hot.
terrifying in equal measure. They talked for hours, the conversation
Jesus.
flowing from technical discussions about quantum processors to philosophical debates about duty versus choice,
Oh,
from stories about
yeah.
Earth's
Oh, that's a
chaotic history
big
to
negative.
tales of Chiralian court politics that made galactic diplomacy sound like
Life.
contact sport. Liam found himself relaxing, forgetting to be nervous about royal protocols, just talking to someone who was sharp and funny and interested in ideas. When Refreshnal appeared to remind him of his next appointment, Liam realized the sun had moved significantly across the sky. I should go, he said, standing reluctantly. Apparently the Queen wants to see
Just
me,
opened
which is
it.
either
It's right
good or very,
here.
very bad. Asharavel stood as well, her markings shifting to warm gold.
Reservoir.
Liam, thank you. For the fire, yes, but also for this. For talking to me like I'm a
I think I'm
person
gonna
instead
try
of a
and get to
political
this
position.
tower.
You are a person. Being
I'm using
royalty
a
is
grand
just your very
project on this one.
complicated day job. He hesitated, then added, for what
Oh,
it's
getting me to
worth,
this
if
tower
I have to
too.
be
We
trapped
got
in an
another hideout
arranged
here.
marriage by ancient
Limestone.
alien law, I'm glad it's with someone who understands quantum field theory and doesn't mind my terrible jokes. Her markings flashed brilliant
Got
gold,
2
and her smile
limestones.
could have powered the palace lights. That might be the nicest thing anyone said to me in years. The bar is apparently very low, but I'll take it. Walking back
Look
through
at
the palace
that.
corridors, Liam realized something had shifted. The marriage was still mandatory, still terrifying, still completely outside his control. But meeting Asharavel, actually talking to her, discovering she was brilliant and trapped and surprisingly funny, that changed the equation.
Oh,
He wasn't just being
I
forced
got
to
2
marry a
limestone
stranger.
hideouts on the map.
He was being given a
Anybody
chance to
need
know someone
hideouts?
extraordinary. Whether that made the situation better or worse, he honestly couldn't say. But it made it real in a way that hadn't been before. And somehow, that felt like progress. The Queen's private study was nothing like Liam expected. He'd
Oh, I got a
imagined something
headhunter now
grand and
for
imposing,
Viper?
all formal seating and intimidating decor, designed to remind
That's kind
visitors
of
of
dope.
exactly how small and insignificant they were.
1000%
Instead, he found
increased
himself in a room that was almost
exceptional
cozy. If a space the size of a small house filled with alien artifacts and enough computing
Alright,
power
we're
to
gonna
run a
get to
city
that
could
tower
be
there.
cozy. Star charts covered one wall, constantly updating with ship movements and territorial boundaries. The other walls held weapons, some clearly ceremonial, others that looked like they'd seen actual use. Queen Thessarak, I sat at a desk made from some dark wood equivalent, surrounded by data pads and what appeared to be handwritten notes on actual physical paper. She looked up when he entered, gestured to a chair across from her. Sit, please. She poured something from a crystalline decanter into 2 small glasses, the liquid inside shifting between blue and green like captured ocean. I imagine you have questions. Liam sat, accepted the glass she offered. The drink smelled like mint and electricity, sharp and clean. A few thousand, yeah, but mostly I'm trying to figure out if you're about to have me quietly disappeared for being an inconvenient problem. The Queen's expression
Alright, why
didn't
can't I go
change, but something
upstairs?
flickered in her eyes that might have been amusement. If I wanted you disappeared, you would simply vanish. There would be no dramatic confrontation, no chance to question my motives. I am quite efficient when I choose to be. She sipped her own drink.
Shrine
However, you saved my
Center,
daughter's
yeah.
life.
I think
That
I got a
makes you
discipline
valuable, not
one of us.
inconvenient. The distinction is important. Then why the fire bond? Why force a marriage instead of just giving me a medal and sending me back to fixing air processors? Liam took a drink, discovered it tasted exactly like it smelled, which was disorienting but not unpleasant. You could have just said thank you. I could have, but that would have been a waste of an opportunity. The Queen set down her glass, folded her
Oh
hands in a
no.
way that suggested she'd given this
This is on
considerable
the
thought.
only
Let me tell
on
you
the
about my
last
people, Liam
level.
Cross. We are old. Our civilization spans thousands of years. We have achieved technological marvels, created art that can make other species weep, built cities that float on impossible mathematics. We are very proud of what we've accomplished. She pulled up a holographic display showing Kyrelian military forces, ships, soldiers, defensive installations. We are also dying. Not physically, not yet, but spiritually. Our warriors are skilled, trained to perfection, equipped with the best technology, but they have forgotten how to be brave. They calculate risks, follow protocols, wait for optimal conditions. When the fire started yesterday, they did everything correctly according to procedure, and my daughter would have died waiting for correct procedure to save her. Liam was starting to see where this was going. So I'm what? An object lesson. Proof that sometimes you need to ignore
Right
rules.
for the day.
You are a
Finish off
catalyst,
with section
a
one. I'm gonna play some
demonstration that
LE.
courage can
Let's
be
go,
instinctive,
dude.
that the right choice is sometimes the stupidest one, that saving lives matters more than following procedure. The Queen's golden markings brightened slightly. Also, you made my daughter laugh in the garden today. I heard the recording. Security
Thank
monitors
you.
everything, you understand. She hasn't laughed like that, genuinely and without political calculation, since she was a child.
Man, I got
That
3
alone
millimeters
is
of
worth
socks.
considerable diplomatic inconvenience. You're monitoring our conversations, Liam said flatly. I'm protecting my daughter and assessing the character of the man she's being bound to by ancient law. Yes, I'm monitoring everything. The Queen didn't look apologetic. You are marrying into one of the oldest royal families in known space. Privacy is
Another
a
death.
luxury you no longer have.
I don't know what I'm
I
doing on
suggest
my
you make
tabs,
peace with
but
that
man.
quickly. Liam wanted to be angry about the
I picked
surveillance,
right.
but he was too tired and too overwhelmed to manage it. What happens after the ceremony? Do I just become a royal decoration? Smile and wave and let you use me as proof that sometimes chaos is good. You become my daughter's husband, and, if you choose, her partner in reshaping what Kyrelian nobility means for the next generation. The Queen leaned forward, her intensity suddenly focused entirely on him. Ashuravel is brilliant. She understands systems, engineering, how things work at fundamental levels. But she has been raised in a culture that teaches her to calculate every decision, to never act without consensus, to value tradition over innovation. You don't think like that. You see a problem and you solve it, consequences be damned. Together, you could be formidable. Or we could be a disaster that destroys everything we touch. That is also possible, the Queen agreed. But it would be an interesting disaster. And I have found that interesting disasters often lead to unexpected improvements. She refilled both glasses. I am not asking you to love her.
To the
Not
Valorant?
yet.
I don't think so.
Love, if it comes, will come in its own time. I am asking you to try, to get to know her, to give this arrangement a genuine chance, instead of treating it as an obligation to be endured. And if I don't,
How's
if
POE
I just go through
treating
the
you?
motions,
Dude, I'm
fulfill
kidding.
the legal
Rob's
requirements,
Rob's
and maintain
Rob's.
polite distance, the Queen's
Last
expression
3 maps,
hardened
I've
just
probably
slightly.
made 30 different.
Then you will have saved my daughter's life but wasted her future, and I will be extremely disappointed. I do not recommend disappointing me, Liam Cross. I hold grudges across decades and have resources you cannot imagine. After the meeting with the Queen, Liam returned to his quarters to find Refreshnal waiting with more formal clothes and a detailed briefing about tomorrow's rehearsal ceremony. He listened with half his attention, the rest of his mind still processing the Queen's words. Catalyst, partner, interesting disaster. He pulled up his personal datapad, opened a message screen, stared at the blank space for several minutes before typing. Hey Marcus, you're not going to believe what happened. I saved a princess from a fire and now I'm
Map's
getting
kinda
married to her
insane, too.
because
I
of
got a lot
ancient
of
alien law. This is my life now. Send help or whiskey,
good,
preferably
unique
both.
maps to run.
With his friend Marcus back on Earth managing the
Good,
technical
'cause
exchange
I don't really
program
have a whole
responded
lot to
almost
sell.
immediately.
My
What?
tab.
Explain. Use
I need
complete
divs.
sentences. Liam spent the next hour typing out the whole absurd situation. From the explosion to the firebomb, to meeting Ashuravel in the
Ooh, I
garden.
thought I got.
Marcus's
I thought I got the
responses
other stuff there,
alternated
you know.
between disbelief, laughter, and genuine concern, which felt appropriate. So you like her? Marcus
Okay.
asked eventually. Liam considered that. I don't know her well enough to know if
I don't
I
know.
like her,
How much longer do we
but I'm
have?
not talking to her.